Hello everyone, welcome to another Fat for Weight Loss recipe video. My name is Aaron and today I am showing you how to make a keto pie crust that is suitable for using in pumpkin pie, apple pie, a New York baked cheesecake, or even tarts. So let's get started. So first of all, you're going to have 2 cups of almond flour. Now that goes into a medium mixing bowl, 3/4 of a cup of coconut flour, half a teaspoon of xanthan gum, a teaspoon of baking powder, and also 1/4 teaspoon of salt. This gets mixed together in this mixing bowl. Now, if you have a food processor, this next step is going to be important to you, but if you don't, just keep it in the mixing bowl. Now, to this food processor, we add that mixture and we just give it a few pulses to make sure that the mixture is completely combined. But if you've already combined it in that bowl before, probably not 100% necessary. Now, 180 grams of unsalted butter you are going to cube. Now, this needs to be cold butter because what happens is that when you put it into the food processor, the blades are going to cut it into the almond flour mixture so that it makes a really super flaky pie crust. When you cut it into the mixture like this, you don't want it to completely combine and become a ball in the food processor, so you want it to stop before it completely combines. You want it to look exactly like it does in the video right now. Now, you can combine this with your hands at this stage and then wrap this in cling wrap because you want the coconut flour to absorb all of the moisture from this, from the butter and from those different ingredients. So keep it in the fridge for 2 hours before you use it, roll it out, and this pie crust is absolutely going to blow your mind. So I hope you loved that recipe video. In the end of these videos, I'm going to be going through some of the questions and some of the complications that maybe people might struggle with if you do go and make this recipe. So, question number 1, and I have 4 questions for this recipe. Question number 1, why do you use xanthan gum? Okay, so xanthan gum in this recipe helps bind all of the ingredients together. It sort of acts like a little bit of glue inside the actual recipe. Now, if you don't have xanthan gum, you can always replace it with guar gum. Guar gum is a identical replacement for something like this in this recipe. You could also use gelatin, but it's probably not recommended in this recipe. But what happens is that when you actually make the top of an apple pie, or you want the actual pie crust to stick together, using xanthan gum is really important. So if you are wanting to make sure that your pie crust holds together, then using xanthan gum is going to be a very good option. So question number 2, can this recipe be made dairy-free? Yes, definitely it can be made dairy-free. If you've ever used lard before, lard can be used as a direct replacement for butter in this recipe. So instead of using butter, you use lard, except you have to adjust the amount. So instead of using 180 grams of butter, you use 120 grams of lard, which means instead of, I think it's 6 ounces, you use 4 ounces of lard. And use it in the same way, you cut it up when it's really cold, but you don't have to pre-bake the pie crust if you are using lard. It's just how it works, and it works better that way, but you don't have to pre-bake it if you're using lard. So lard, fantastic. Question number 3, can this be sweetened? Yes. So this recipe I've used to actually make the base of my keto cheesecake, the base of plenty of other pie recipes that are sweetened. Now, you can use it unsweetened, and that would be great for something like a meat pie here in Australia. But if you want to sweeten this, you would use 2 tablespoons of powdered erythritol or 2 tablespoons of granular erythritol. You could use stevia as well. I haven't found that it replaces as well. I find erythritol is much better, but I will leave those recipe tweaks up to you. So question number 4, what size pan does this suit? Okay, so I've got a few examples here. This is a pie pan. I believe this is 26 centimeters or 9 inches. Now, it is going to fit that pie tin very well, but you can see how it's quite a deep pie pan. So you probably have some left over if you had a shallow pie pan, one that sort of flares out a little bit more. And this is an 18 centimeter tart tin. So if you're using a tart tin like this, probably half the recipe will work in here because tarts tend to have a much thinner base and a thinner side. If you are creating a cheesecake, the cheesecake on my website uses a 20 centimeter cake tin, but it can also work with a 23 centimeter cake tin as well, whether you want to do the sides as well or just the bottom. So it sort of works in most cases, and if you have any leftovers, just keep them in the fridge wrapped up in that plastic again. So I hope you love this recipe video, and I hope you love these questions at the end of the recipe video. And again, if you love videos like this, make sure you hit subscribe, like, and share it with a friend. and I will see you next week.